Yo, what is good, everybody? Happy New Year's. Today we got a bit of a different vibe. We're going for something more bouncy and orchestral, like a Lil Baby or 4PF type beat. And with all that said, let's get into the video. Alright, so this is how all the components sound together. Alright, so you already know, first thing we got in here is the piano. I'm using the soft piano from Lab Spitfire Audio. It's a free plugin. And then basically you want to go into any minor scale. I'm working in F sharp minor. Then you go down to the drop down menu, snap, and make sure you're in 1/3 step. So then basically all you do is you start off on the root note of your scale. You create a minor chord, so F sharp, A, C sharp, cut out the middle chord, and you're stuck with these two. And then basically you want to create triplets to kind of have that bouncy, very quick bouncy feel. And I forgot to mention I'm in 142 BPM. And you want to really play around with a lot of tension notes. So in F sharp minor scale, it would be D, C sharp, A, G sharp. So basically I start off G sharp, A, and I create an F sharp minor chord, copy and paste it 3 times to make a triplet. And then for that final for the final chord, all you want to do is just transpose the A down 1 note to create a minor sus chord. Then once again you use those tension notes, so going back up on the scale, D, D, C sharp, and then A, G sharp, F sharp. So basically when you're creating these Lil Baby orchestral beats, you really want to kind of play around with the triplets and the notes going up and down the scale to kind of get that bouncy feel. And then from there you just copy and paste that over here, and then you just transpose it down 1 octave, and then you copy and paste that for another 4 measures or however long you want it to be. And that's basically all I did for the piano. Alright, so the effects I added on the piano, the first thing I added was a fruity reverb. I turned up the wet a bit, turned down a bit of the dry, and then I turned down some of the low cut, and I turned up some of the high cut as well. Then I added this Fin Micro finisher. It's a free plugin. It's actually really cool. It's like kind of like a spacey ambient feel. It's made by UJam, and then basically I turned the preset onto phaser, and then I kind of turned it down around I kind of turned it down a bit because I didn't want too much of the spacey feel, because if you were to hear all of it, this is how it sounds like. It sounds a bit too much, but I like the kind of feel that it gives, so I turned it down about here. Alright, then the next thing I added was a vinyl effector, and I kind of just put it on these presets here on the phaser, kind of give it a bit more of a kind of phasing effect, so it would kind of, let's say, play around with those volume ducks a lot that I kind of wanted. And then final thing, I added an EQ. I just kind of took out some of the mids around 1200 hertz, where I thought some of the notes were a bit harsh, and I took out a bit of the lows as well. Alright, so the next thing we got is the violin. We have 2 of them, but this is how the first one sounds like. Alright, so basically all you're doing is creating an F sharp minor chord, then you just kind of copy and paste it, and each time on the second chord you just transpose the middle note down 1 note to create that minor sus chord as I talked about before. And then you just kind of copy and paste that throughout 4 measures. And then the counter melody that you add on here is basically the same melody, just a tiny bit different, that I added for the piano. So I start off on the G sharp, go up to the B, go down to the A, G sharp, F sharp. So you kind of think of a little melody in your head, and as I said before, you want to play with a lot of tension notes and also kind of go up and down the scale. So basically from there, I just kind of copied that over here. And then at the end, I added an A. So kind of an accent note, leaving it unresolved. So I could kind of go back to the G sharp. And then I just kept the low notes the same. And I copied the counter melody for another 4 measures. And I transposed it up 1 octave. So it kind of add a lot more tension when it's going up high. And for the end here, I just kind of added these quick triplets and just kind of playing around again, going up and down the scale, as I said. And for the effects that I added on it were an EQ, take out some of the mid to highs and some of the lows as well. And then a Valhalla reverb on the default preset on the 1980s color, and then I turned it down to 10% mix because I wanted to have a bit of a spacey feel, but I didn't want it to be too much of it. Alright, so the final component to this melody is the second violin that we have over here, and it goes like this. Alright, so all it is here is a minor chord that is the middle note is inverted up 1 octave, and then you add that middle note once again in A, go back to the same chord, go back up to a D, back to the same chord, A, up to the same chord, and then you transpose it up 1 octave, the A again, went up to G sharp, playing with those tension notes. And all this violin is for is just to add more tension for the buildup of the chorus right before the actual hook. And for the effects that I added for it were a parametric EQ, taking out some of the mid to highs, and then I softened up the highs a bit as well, took out some of the mids around 670 hertz, and I took out some of the lows as well. Then another EQ to soften more of the highs because I thought it was a bit too much. For this one, I wanted it to fade more in the background, but for you still to hear it as the build-up. And then I added a Valhalla vintage rib on the default preset on the concert hall mode, on 1970s color, and on 8.4 mix. And I turned up the decay to 4 seconds. And then I just turned down this knob over here on the effects side to 45% mix level, and that's all I did for the entire melody. Alright, so from there you basically just export the sample and then just add some quick drums on top. Alright, so the first thing we got in here is the clap. Snare. Rim. Then we added the hi-hats. So for the hi-hats, as I show in all of my tutorials, you just go to the mixer channel, right click on the hi-hat channel, go to fill in each 2-step, then Control L on your keyboard to extend all of the notes, and then from there you just start taking out some notes, extending some, adding rolls and all that type of stuff. So I just basically started off with this pattern. So basically all I'm doing is just adding a couple rolls here and there and taking out some space, because you see over here past the second measure you want to add kind of some space around the hi-hats, because a lot of Lil Baby's beats are really fast, but also he does go into some fast raps, and he changes up the rhythm of how he's saying each word and each verse. So you kind of want to give the rapper a lot of space to do their thing. So that's basically why I added a bunch of space with each hi-hat. And then I kind of just transpose some notes up and down because I wanted to be more dramatic with them. And then from there I just kind of added velocity changes throughout the hi-hats to kind of give it more of that realistic feel. And then basically all I did for the final part was that I took one entire note throughout one bar, and then I just uses the velocity going up and then back down, and then you go over here to the control, you go to note pan, and then you just pan this side up and this side down, so it kind of switches between ears. And that's basically all I did for the hi-hats there. And for the effects that I added on it were a fruity reverb. I turned down the wet to 6%, and I turned up the dry a bit. Then I added a fruity delay, and I went to the ping pong preset as always, and then I turned down the wet to 1%. Alright, so now moving on to the 808. Really simple pattern. Alright, so all it is just following the root notes of the melody, and then just giving a bunch of space and hitting triplets over here with 808s. So start off on the first one, give it a bit of space, hit back 1, 2, 3, space, 1, and then I added a roll. So I added this note for 1 bar, and then I cut this one in half, and then I added 2 more as an accent to hit back again, and then I just copied and pasted it. And then for the effects that I added on the 808 are simple. All I add is a fruity limiter. You go to this envelope tab over here, you turn down the attack, turn down the release, and turn down the stain all the way down. And then from there you just start playing with the ceiling to kind of get the crunch that you like. And then you play with the saturation to kind of help out the crunch level of it, to kind of saturate the noise. And then you turn up the gain just to make it sound louder and hit harder. And then from there I just add transitions and crashes on everything. Here on the beat drop I add a crash, and that's basically all I did for the drums. Alright, so if you guys did get anything from this video, please make sure to drop a like and sub down below. And I did create a new IG for my beats that I'm going to be posting consistently on, so if you guys want to go check out the full beats, I'll leave the link down in the description at prod_loyal. And with all that said, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.